So today we're going to start a budget with YNAB. I'll show you how to add accounts to your YNAB budget, and then I'll show you how to distribute your income into the various categories so that your to-be budgeted balance is zero. That'll be the first goal after you set up your accounts. And then from that point on, the goal is to simply record transactions and try to maintain a zero balance in your to-be budgeted category. That's the basic idea. There's a couple other tricks that we'll talk about. But if we can do that, then we're at least taking the first step towards using YNAB to help us save money. So the first thing to do is to add accounts. YNAB will prompt you to do that in a couple of different ways. Over here on the left side, they're suggesting that you add an account, and right here in the middle, they're also giving you the option to press add account. So we'll do that. You have the option of choosing a linked account or an unlinked account. A linked account means that your checking account information is connected to YNAB, and when you use your debit card for a transaction, or when, say, your paycheck hits your account, it'll automatically load into YNAB as a transaction. So that's an interesting feature. Unlinked means that that connection does not happen automatically. So that's easier to set up at this point. We're going to choose unlinked because we get to go on to the next step. But also unlinking your accounts means that you are manually putting in your own transactions. And I think that that has a nice psychological advantage to it, which we'll go into a bit more. So we're going to unlink the accounts. I'm going to start with a checking account as an example. So this is Joe's checking. I'm going to say that I have a $700 balance in my checking account currently. I'm going to add another account, and it's going to be unlinked as well. This time it'll be a savings account, and Joe's Savings is the name of the account. I've got $300 in there. I've put $300 in my savings account as opposed to my checking account because I have a particular goal in mind. Okay, so then when we go to distributing our available money into our different spending categories, I'm going to keep that goal in mind. And my last account that I'm going to add right now is a credit card. Credit cards work a little bit different. Obviously, it's not money that I have. It's money that I actually have to pay. So it's going to operate kind of negatively. This is a $200 balance. It is negative because it's a debt, but we're just putting the positive integer there. It is immediately prompting me to create a goal. It wants to know what I want to do with my $200 credit card balance. Do I want to pay it off entirely in this month? That might be kind of difficult since I only have $1,000 in my two accounts right now. I can also choose to pay it off over time. And so that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to pay a little bit this month, a little bit more next month, and hopefully I can pay that off pretty soon. I have two options for setting a goal in the future. One is to choose a certain date, or another is to choose an amount that I want to pay each month. I'm not prepared to do the calculation that would allow me to choose a date. So right now I'm just going to choose a specific amount for a monthly payment, and I'm going to let it tell me how long that will take for me to pay it off down to zero. So right now I'm going to put $50 towards that credit card. And it automatically says With monthly payments of $50, it will take 4 months to pay off your balance. It's assuming that I'm not going to use my credit card between now and then, and that's not true. I will use my credit card every month, so it'll take a little bit more than 4 months, but I appreciate your effort, YNAB. Okay, so it wants me to budget $50 into that category. I will do that, but I'm going to do that in the next step. Okay, so I added my 3 accounts. They show up on the left side, checking, savings, and credit card with their balances. $700 in checking, $300 in savings, and a negative balance on my credit card because it's a debt. Okay, we're ready to start setting up our categories. So I'm going to go to my budget. I have actually set up my categories in the past, and so it saved that from a previous budget. The way that I did it was I specified the date that my different obligations were due. To me, that's kind of helpful because I can put them in order. YNAB allows you to edit these categories in interesting ways. So what I did was I put the date, I just click on it, and it allows me to edit the name there, and I entered the date that that bill was due. And then I put them in order chronologically so that I can see my rent was due on the 3rd. Today is the 20th, so I've already paid my rent. I don't need to budget any of my money towards my rent right now. I already paid my phone bill as well. That was due on the 8th. And I paid my water bill as well. So right now I'm just looking at internet, electricity, and car insurance as my immediate obligations. So before I get to budgeting, let me fill out some of the rest of these categories. I didn't add the date for my auto loan, so let me start by doing that. That's due on the 25th of each month. So I'll put the date there, and I'll slide that above auto insurance. That seems like enough for $5,000. So, but I also need to keep in mind groceries and gas, at least for the last week of this month before I get paid again. Take a look at some of my other spending categories. Those were my immediate obligations, things that I need to cover no matter what. They're like my essentials. I have some upcoming expenses that are a little harder to predict. YNAB calls these true expenses. So you'll see true expenses the first time you log into YNAB. I don't, that name does not mean a lot to me. They are more like expenses that I know will happen at some point in the future, but I don't know when. As opposed to my auto insurance, which is due every month on the 29th. So I do want to think about some emergency savings or car repairs or this business idea that I have. I want to put a little bit of money into those categories. So I'll keep those in mind. Medical is also kind of important to have something there. Clothing is a little less important. I know it pops up every now and then, especially around the beginning of the school year for those with children. Gifts, maybe I'll start thinking about that later in the year, budgeting for gifts. I'll put a little bit in a giving category because I don't want to not think about money that I'm going to give away to people. Okay, and then later on, I've got some quality of life goals that I'm going to think about in kind of the same way. If I pay my essentials, can I put a little bit towards retirement or to a vacation or towards an education fund for my daughter? I'm going to need to put a little bit in dining out. I think I can hold off on some of these other categories, but I know that we will be spending money at least once every 2 weeks. Okay, I'm feeling good about my categories. Before you take the next step, you're going to need to edit your categories so that it matches your lifestyle. You know where your money is going in general, right? And so you need to set up your categories so that when you enter your transactions, it has a category to come out of. All right, let's jump to the next step where we're going to start to budget our money. I've got $1,000 to spend. The first thing I'm going to do is cover that $50 goal for my credit card. And because I made a goal and because I met that goal with a $50 expenditure, then it shows up as green here on the right side. And so it says you've reached your $50 goal for the month. Great. So we're aiming for green on all these right sides. They say that gray is fine and green is the goal. If you see orange, then that's an area you need to think about. If you see red, then that means that your budget is off because you have overspent that category. We'll see an example of that a little bit later on. Right now, this is showing up as orange because I actually have a rent goal for myself for next month, and I haven't put any money towards that. I'll get to that when I can. Right now, I need to think about my internet. That's going to be $60. All right. This is coming out of my to-be budgeted balance up at the top of the screen. My electricity bill is probably going to be about $95. That's consistently what it is. My auto loan, this is kind of expensive. This is $300. My auto insurance is also kind of expensive. That's $200. Okay, so I have covered those five essentials. I have $295 left. I know that I will get paid again on the 28th. So I just have to make it to the 28th, and then I'll have some extra money in this to be budgeted category that I can distribute to my other categories. All right, so let me put $100 in groceries. That's about what I need per week. I know I'm just going to put $20 for gas. I'm not going too many places right now. I have $175. So getting down to the end of my available money, I think my first priority is going to be to put something into emergency savings. I have a goal for emergency savings of $250, and I just put $100 in there. And so it's telling me I didn't quite meet my goal. It's not, yelling at me like if I were to overspend a category, it would tell me that I needed to address it right now. It's just saying that I need to do a little bit more if I'm going to meet the goal that I set for myself. That's fine. I only have $75 left. Let me put 25 into an auto repair category just in case. I'm going to put 25 into a medical category. Okay, and I'm going to put 25 into a giving category. Those are kind of tough decisions towards the end there. Obviously, I couldn't put anything into my business project. If I was going to put something, I wanted to put a larger amount. I didn't put anything into clothing or a gift category. I didn't put anything into a retirement category or a vacation category. Those things are important to me, but they will have to wait until my next paycheck. The advantage is at my next paycheck, I won't have to cover the auto loan, the auto insurance, the electricity, and the internet. Okay, those were some larger expenses. So my next paycheck will go towards rent and my phone bill and my water bill. And then hopefully I'll be able to fill in some of these other categories that are aimed more towards the future. So that's my goal. I accomplished my goal, which was to get this down to zero. And at this point, I have to stop because I don't have any more money, right? Now going forward, what I'm going to do is record my transactions. If I go to the grocery store, or today, for example, I'm going to pay the internet, any money that I spend from now on, I want to go to all accounts and I want to add a transaction. Okay, so let's do this today for the internet. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go pay it. So let's see. Who is my internet provider? It doesn't say, so I'm going to add it here. Comcast. What category is this coming out of? Internet. Okay. It's right there for me, so I can just click on it. My bill is $60, so that's exactly what I budgeted. I'm going to clear that transaction. YNAB requires that you clear the transactions in order for their accounting system to make sense. It's like in your checking account, sometimes a transaction will be posted but not cleared. So there might be a little hang up on what dollars are actually available if a transaction has not cleared. Okay. That's important to realize about your own checking account. It's also important to realize about how YNAB operates. I'm going to save that. There it is. $60 spent on January 20th, my internet. Okay, let's go back and take a look here. What happened? So I budgeted $60. You can see here in the first column. I spent $60. It's negative there. You can see that in the second column. I have $0 remaining in that category. Okay, I spent all the $60 that I had budgeted towards the internet. So gray is fine, right? I have no problem with gray. That meant that I budgeted the exact amount and I spent the exact amount. Okay, great. I'm going to spend a little bit more money right now. So let's see, later I'm going to go to the grocery store. Let's say I'm going to buy some food. Where am I going to go? Okay, here I'm going to Meijer. I've been to Meijer before, so that's why, I mean, that I've actually budgeted a transaction from Meijer. So that's why Meijer shows up on this list of payees. And that's why it automatically comes up with groceries in terms of the category. It knows that when I go to Meijer that I'm buying groceries. Okay. There is the option for, like, when you go to Meijer, you might be buying groceries and toothpaste, or groceries and clothes, or something like that. So there actually is the option to split your transaction into multiple categories. Okay, keep that in mind. Right now I'm just buying groceries and I'm spending $92.50. And that transaction cleared. Okay, and I'm going to go back to my budget and take a look. Okay, here we are with groceries. I budgeted $100. I spent $92.50. And so that actually means that I have $7.50 extra. Okay. I could go back to Meijer right now and I could spend $7.50. Another option which is kind of cool with YNAB is that you can very easily move this money to a different category. Okay. So I'm happy with the money that I saved at Meijer, and I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to move that $7.50. I could put it on my credit card. I could put it towards next month's rent. That would be useful. I could leave it in groceries because I will buy more groceries next week. I could put it towards any of these long-term savings projects. Emergency savings would definitely be a good place to put that, or that business project idea, or like medical or auto repair spending. I could also put it in this retirement account or the vacation account. All of those are good priorities, and you can choose any of them. It's going to be up to you. Personally, I'm a little, the rent is on my mind for next month, so I'm going to choose rent and put that $7.50 towards there. Okay. That's it for right now. I've basically done what I needed to do, and I can pick it up again whenever I spend more money, or I can pick it up again when I get paid next, which I said was next Thursday. At that point, I will go in and I will add a new transaction. I'm not going to do that now because that's happening in the future. But when I do it, I'll add a transaction. I will specify that I am the payee. It should know that. Yep, there's my name. Okay, I'm paying myself. And when I do that, it will, let me show you. recognize that the category is for that money to go into the to be budgeted category. Okay. And then I'll put as an inflow the amount that I received. Okay. I get paid about $1,000 every 2 weeks. Okay. And then I'm going to clear that transaction and save it. At that point, I'll have an extra $1,000 show up in my to be budgeted category, and I can start to fill out my categories, including going into February. Okay, so I'll have to start thinking about February. I still have that $750 that I put towards February's rent, but I'm obviously relying on the $1,000 that I'll receive next week before I budget the rest of this rent spending. Okay, it's not worth budgeting it right now because I would go into the negative here, and my goal is to keep this as a zero. Okay, but when I get paid again, I will start thinking about next month's bills. And the goal from YNAB's perspective is to save enough money with your ability to organize that you can actually start to pay next month's bills with the money that you receive today. And then you keep going further. Not just next month's bills, but let me pay March's bills with the money that I receive with today's paycheck. Right now, I'm caught up in a paycheck to paycheck cycle, right, where my paycheck doesn't last very long at all. In fact, it'll be gone pretty much by the time I get paid again. But if I can organize my spending, then my goal is to have a couple of months of expenses covered with today's paycheck or with the savings from last month's paychecks. Okay. That's literally what it means to get a couple months ahead with your finances. That would be an amazing step if I could do that. Okay. So this was an introduction. We'll follow up with some more specific information later, but in terms of setting up the account, this is how you do it, and now you're ready to start budgeting. Okay, talk to you soon.